Morning. This is Tuesday Talks at 10:30. I'm evidential medium Stacy Niedenthal, and I'm so glad you're here with me today. I'm in Bel Air, Maryland, in case you can't tell. I come to Bel Air once a month, and we do private readings and group readings and gatherings and gallery readings. And we actually have a few spaces available tonight at the intimate group reading. So if you're interested in attending, private message me. I always know that the people who are supposed to be here show up. When there's not a lot of people who show, I know it's going to be pretty intense, or there's a lot of information for the people who are here. So, um, this is a safe space that that was created quite a while ago for you to be able to explore, touch upon, think about your spiritual path, your spiritual growth, your soul connection. And we touch upon a lot of different subjects. Subjects such as, sorry, my computer's going crazy, grief, connecting to those on the other side, what your path is, mediumship. We talk about coming back home and allowing ourselves to be our authentic self. And whether you are live on replay, reading the blog, you've arrived at the exact moment that you were supposed to be here. Welcome back to everyone who is returning to Tuesday Talks, who has been following us for years or weeks, or maybe this is your second time. If this is your first time here, welcome. Welcome to the Connecting Family Tribe. No judgment. It's just a place for you to expand your thought process and listen to your heart. I ask that anything that doesn't resonate with you, you don't let that stand in the way of the things that do resonate with you. For those who don't know me, I'm evidential medium, psychic medium, spiritual healer, and author, Stacy Niedenthal, and welcome. I do Tuesday Talks at 10:30. You guessed it, every Tuesday at 10:30. And this month we've been talking, the theme has been, now it's only the second Tuesday, light, joy, inner child, talking about playfulness and joy and self-expression, focus. We're talking about healing the inner child. So it's one of those subjects where it's hard to come face to face with it sometimes, because healing the inner child, allowing yourself to be joyful, sometimes feels uncomfortable. So I wanted to start off by talking about a card that I happened to pull. And the card says, stride into a dreamt future with graceful purpose. My soul is at ease and love fills my heart. So I love the way this woman looks. She has a little bit of everything, very eclectic, not caring who thinks what about what she's wearing, but look at her stride and look at her shoulders. She just looks like, I am here. I have a mission. I have my cards. I have my roses. I have my dancing skirt. I have my boots and my shoes, and everything is in my hair that I need. This is self-expression. When we dress in a certain way that expresses who we are, when our posture is a certain way, it expresses who we are. So I'm going to talk to you about, guess what? Self-expression. So to define it, self-expression is the choice to let the world see who you are fully and truthfully. You're not hiding. You're allowing yourself to be you. And there's a quote by Oscar Wilde that says, be yourself. Everybody else already is. This speaks directly to embracing your unique individuality. And we've spoken in the past about what stops us from expressing who we are. It's the early conditioning when we're children, when we are taught to sit down and be quiet. But then think about when you were a child or when your children were little. They express themselves. They dance when nobody's taught them how to dance, and they sing even if they're off key. They've got this free spirit amongst them, and that we all have had. And sometimes we lose it. And now it's time to talk about why and how to come back to that. We've spoken about the great silencer, which is within ourselves, that fear of judgment, the fear of rejection. We're afraid we're going to fail, and we're afraid that we're going to disappoint others. How many can resonate with those fears? Put fear in the comments. So until we begin to awaken our spirituality, we sit dormant in the shadows. Our unique self wants to come out and play, but we go, oh, sit still. No, shh, be quiet. What will people think? So when we start to walk into a spiritual awakening, all of a sudden we reconnect with ourselves again. And that awakening is described as finding yourself. Finding myself. I didn't know myself was lost. But when you sit and you think about past conversations that you've had, I wish I would have said this. Why didn't I say that? Oh, I better not do this. I better not do that. I have to dress this way because this person's going to think. You've lost yourself in that. And when you have a spiritual awakening, in reality, you start to remember yourself. You remember that child who would just dance or sing or pretend they were Superwoman or imagine these great big things or color outside of the lines. And many people spend years searching for and living in habits that create expectation. The habits are from survival, obligation, and they become such a part of us that we begin to almost wear a mask. But then something happens. Something happens that shakes us up. It could be a loss of a relationship. Someone transitioned from this life to the next. A spiritual experience. A moment of profound stillness. And suddenly, the life that we're living all of a sudden feels too small. And we take on the true meaning of the cliche, life's too short to sweat the small stuff. We finally understand the meaning of that because we've lost something. We've had a spiritual experience, an epiphany. And suddenly we go, wait a minute. The version of myself that I've built to survive is no longer the version of myself that is meant to lead my life. That's the beginning of the awakening. When you realize, I don't need to survive, I don't need to perform, I just need to be me. I'm not becoming someone else. Someone else already is. I realize I don't have to reach perfection. I just have to keep trying. And waking up to a version of yourself that has been patiently waiting beneath the noise. I remember when I started with my spiritual walk, when I started trusting spirit, when I started doing shadow work that we talked about last week, and going deep within and rolling the tapes back and figuring out why I did certain things. It was for survival, it was for validation, and it was because I needed to feel perfect and in control. But once I realized I was already perfect and in control because Creator had already made me perfect in the eyes of the universe. Why was I so worried about what humans thought about the way I dressed or the way I spoke or what I did? I finally started to wake up to the version of myself that's been patiently waiting. This person that we talked about. This person who said, I'm striding into my dreams. I'm marching in to my future with a graceful purpose. The soul, our soul, doesn't force the process. It simply keeps calling you. And if you don't answer the call, it will wait and it will call you again. And every time you choose honesty of who you truly are over performance, being authentic over worried about approval, you're choosing alignment over fear, you're starting to answer the call. The awakening journey is not a single moment. It is this ongoing series of moments where you recognize yourself more clearly than you did in the days before. And I got to tell you, what am I, almost 12 years into being spiritually connected to my authentic self, I'm still learning things. I'm still figuring out why I'm doing things the way that I'm doing. But I have gotten to the point where I'm not going to blame someone else for what my reactions and my actions are because, I chose that reaction. I'm not going to have those daddy issues. I'm not going to, no, I need to take responsibility for myself and recognize where I lost myself and why I felt like I needed to lose myself. And then start expressing who I am in the best way possible. So I want you to ask yourself and think about it. Who would you be if you stopped performing and started expressing? And we've all done the performance. We're with we're with a certain group of people. So we know that we have to act a certain way. Well, why do we have to act a certain way? Why can't we just be who we are? Now, I'm not saying if you are in a church that you're acting like you're at a rock concert, there's a difference. But I'm still the rock concert girl, even if I'm at church. Understand? And many people spend years trying to fit into the expectations and the roles and the identities that they feel were placed upon them. And we have a choice to not take on that responsibility. And I'm not saying, oh, just don't do it, because that's not easy. It's recognizing, what am I doing? Does this feel natural? Because beneath of it all, it's a learning process. We've learned different things. Even if we were in performance mode, we were learning who other people were and who we are. Just because it seems like the best word to use, but our authentic self was still beneath us. The truth didn't change. It needed to be heard and seen. The things that change when you speak your truth is your spiritual self-expression, is allowing your soul to align your values, your truth, your inner wisdom to be reflected through your words and actions, whether you're creative, through relationships, and through a daily life. Fear stops us, and we've spoken about that. Fear of success, fear of visibility, all that starts to go away. When I first walked into mediumship, and that's what I call it, I walked into it. It was calling me, the door was open, I walked into it. I was very quiet about it. If someone would talk about something, I would kind of whisper, I could probably help you. Because I didn't know how people were going to respond to that. You know, well, they're not kids anymore, but kids that I went to school with that knew the Stacy from high school. Oh yeah. She's a medium. Yeah. She's probably high as a kite. That fear of not being accepted still stays with us from early childhood. But when you start accepting your authentic self, the fear of success and visibility start to go away. It's not an overnight thing, but I finally came to the point of I'm not for everybody, and I'm cool with that. And I may disagree with your ideas and your opinions, but I'm not going to shout my ideas and opinions down your throat. Don't do it to me. Many people aren't afraid of expressing themselves. And sometimes I felt envious of people like that. My God, Denise, y'all have met Denise? She can strike up a conversation with anybody like she's known you all her life. Me? Mm-mm. I'll sit back and I'll pay attention and wait for somebody to come and talk to me. Now, I have been stretching myself over the past couple of years where I start to talk to people. My husband, he never meets a stranger. Good Lord, if you're an old man sitting on a park bench with a bow tie, he's going to sit down and talk to you. He wants to know your story. Where I'm thinking, oh my God, leave that poor man alone. I'm not sure what that pause is within myself. I blame it on being a Leo, but I know that there's something, and it's one of those things that I take this deeper look into. Good Lord, can you imagine if everybody in the world just went up and spoke to people like they've known them all their lives? It would either be the most comforting group of people or the loudest group of people. But those who aren't afraid of expressing themselves don't fear the afterwards. What's the outcome? When you ignore your inner truth, sometimes symptoms appear. You're negative all the time, chronic dissatisfaction. You feel disconnected. Even if you're in a room full of people, you have resentment. Why can they do that and that nothing ever happens for me? Anxiety, oh my gosh, all this energy. Lack of purpose. Everybody knows what they want to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. And you feel unseen. But the soul, your soul, continuously nudges you towards being authentic so that you are not dissatisfied with your life. You're figuring out solutions to live the best life. You don't feel disconnected unless you want to disconnect. The anxiety starts to soften. You start to see a purpose, not the lack of, but a purpose. And you start to feel seen, or you don't care if you're not seen. I can do all of this in the shadows and know that it is still going towards the right solution. So the soul, our spirit, our soul is constantly nudging you to be authentic. Imagine a river that flows and that is blocked by stones. Self-expression is the ripple that goes over the stones, even though the stones are building up. And that self-expression can be in many ways. Doesn't mean you have to dance across the stage. It doesn't mean that you have to run for council or be in front of a lot of people. But it means you're speaking your words through truth and kindness. I don't have to agree with someone else to fit in. And if someone asks me my opinion on something, I'm going to be truthful and as kind as I can. I might preface it by, you might not want to hear this. Let me think of the right way to say it. Maybe you're creative and you paint, you like art or music or writing, some type of crafting, gardening, cooking. That's pulling your authentic self out. Some people have beautiful, beautiful flower gardens. My mother, my God, her flower garden was absolutely gorgeous. Her and my dad would be out in the garden from sunup to sundown. That was a chore for me. Who does my beautiful flowers? My husband. Because the thought of dirt underneath my fingernails drives me crazy. My parents had that gene. My sister has that gene. I don't. I will admire the beautiful flowers and I will breathe them in. My authentic self is not digging in the dirt, knowing what flowers need shade and sun and this and this. But if you want to sit in the flowers with me and have a deep conversation, I'm your girl. So we all have these different authentic, creative abilities. Listening, speaking, art, music, gardening, allowing your authentic self to come through, like the child within you that sang to the top of her lungs but couldn't carry a note. Your authentic self comes out by, believe it or not, setting boundaries. Boundaries are saying no sometimes and not letting someone push you into something. I remember one time someone said, "You're not very easy to talk to." And I thought, really? A lot of people come to me and they just sit down and talk. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute. Am I not easy to talk to, or am I no longer easy for you to manipulate? There's a difference. I put a boundary up so that the manipulation was a hard no. So you start to shift, your energy starts to shift when your self-expression, when your soul calls you to your life purpose and you go, I'm there, baby, I'm there. Through your purpose, living aligned with your values through persistence and patience allows you to show up for yourself. It allows you to be authentic without shrinking. I don't have to stand in the background if I don't want to. But I can if I just want to people watch. I love to people watch. I know it sounds creepy. But sitting and just watching it, whether you're at a park and just watching couples or parents with their children and sensing the expression with, I love to just soak that in. I'm being present at that time. I'm sending good vibes to their situation. I'm showing up for my authentic self. I'm not shrinking into the background. The common myth or the common thought is that spiritual self expression means becoming louder. You ever notice in a conversation with someone that disagrees with you, they get louder? We all do. It's not an argument, they just want to talk over you. That's not self expression. That's you jamming your ideas down my throat. I will pause for a moment and listen to what you have to say respectfully. Listen to what my opinion is. Or I may just say, well, you don't even want to know what I think about. But I'm not trying to talk over you and change your opinion. That's what the world is becoming right now. Everyone seems entitled to have their voices heard, which I agree. We all deserve to have our voices heard. But if I disagree with you, don't go and have a hissy fit. Self-expression. I'm becoming more honest with myself and with the world around me. So to practice, and I know it sounds weird, but to practice your authentic self, it's my authentic self. Why do I need to practice, Stacy? Why do I need to practice? Because we've overlooked it. And our muscle memory says, do this, and then there's not a change in results. So practice is listen before you speak. And then when I'm in a deep conversation with someone, you will notice if you were in that conversation with me, I will purposely put my fingers over my mouth because I want to hear what you're saying. I don't want to be thinking how I'm going to respond to you. So I may sit and I might go, wow, I never thought of it that way. And I'm responding, but I'm putting my hands back over my mouth because I don't need to speak over you. I want to truly listen to what is within you so that you know that I hear you. I have this one friend of mine. I'm not going to say her name. I'm not going to do that to her. We got to talking about something one time. And I remember saying to her, I hope you don't think this is weird, but I absolutely adore how your eyes and your focus changes when you go from speaking to listening because I know you're hearing me. And she said, what? I said, I can see a shift in your eyes from when you're speaking to when you're listening. And I know that you're picking up every word that I'm saying with the emotion that I'm saying, and you understand the meaning. And I so appreciate that. There's a difference. If you have a friend who speaks over you or says, well, now you know how I feel, or takes what you're saying and switches it over to them, they're still great friends. But sometimes you just need a listener. And sometimes you just need to be the listener. So a good practice is listen before you speak. Spend time in silence because your soul will whisper before it shouts. You can also pay attention to your triggers. Be aware of your triggers. They often reveal themselves in places where your authenticity authenticity, authentic self feels restricted. Have you ever gone back home to your parents' house, the house that you used to grow up in, and all of a sudden you fall back into feeling like a child? Whether they're making you feel that way or not, it's the atmosphere that you're in. Maybe there's a trigger. You walk into a certain room and you're like, ooh, you know what? That happened, whatever it is. And now I'm past it. So it's recognizing the triggers, getting quiet, and maybe think to yourself, what part of me is asking to be seen? What was missed? What did I feel I missed? You know, creative expression. We talked about that, practicing, spending 10 minutes a day, being creative without judging the outcome. The goal is expression, not perfection. It's starting that muscle memory. One of the exercises says, speak one truth daily. And I think that that's kind of a cop out. Well, I only have to say one thing true and I can lie the rest of the day. No, 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 no. Your one truth daily is honestly expressing how you feel, what you need, or what you desire each day. Honestly, I feel a little overwhelmed today. I think I need a timeout and just go for a walk by myself. And then do it. Those small acts of courage build spiritual confidence within yourself, because now all of a sudden your soul, your spirit, your energy is saying, oh my God, she sees me. I'm not being ignored. I'm not being pushed down. How many times do you absolutely want to explode, but know that you cannot? And then the rest of the day, you're just thinking about all of that. That's the time for you to go, you know what? I need a timeout. I need to go for a walk. I just need to breathe it out and let things go. I'm speaking my truth. I'm naming my emotion. I'm saying it's okay for me to feel this way. Don't blow it out of proportion. Ask yourself, truly ask yourself, stop and ask yourself, look in the mirror, look yourself in the eyes, and ask yourself, what would I do if I truly trusted my higher self, creator, energy, the universe, however you want to say it, more than my fear? What would truly happen? Where would I be? How would I feel? Becoming the life expression of your authentic self is knowing that you can stride into your dreams gracefully with purpose. Your soul is at ease, and love fills your heart. Because I'm being who I need to be, I have realized I don't necessarily need improvement. I need to notice. It does not need permission or validation. It needs presence and acknowledgement of you. I want you to really listen to me with these words. The world does not benefit from a smaller version of you. Your soul does not need improvement or permission. The world does not benefit from a smaller version of you. It benefits, I went back, it benefits from the unique expression that only you can bring. There's only one you in this world. You are the only one that is with you 24/7. You wake up with yourself, you go to sleep with yourself. Everyone carries a certain song, a certain message, a certain light within themselves that nobody else can say in the way that you can say it, that can be who you are. Your purpose, your soul reflection, your self expression, your purpose is not to imitate another person. Your purpose is to become the clearest expression of who you are. Things change. Things definitely change when you speak the truth. Some people fall away, some people are attracted to your energy. But here's the thing, it's not about being noticed by the world. It's about allowing your soul, your essence, to be witnessed by you. Hello, soul. Hello, spirit. I'm Stacy. Have you ever heard someone say, and I've said it many times, I don't know who I am anymore. Oh my God, what the hell happened? I've lost track. I've lost touch with myself. Who am I? It's looking back and saying, I am this. I feel this way. It's bearing witness to yourself and being mindful of who you are and where you're going. Even if you don't know where you're going, I'm going forward. I'm not going backward. I'm not going to sit still. Maybe I need to pause for a moment and think and get quiet. But I'm not going to forever be sedentary. I have a purpose. The world needs to see it. My tribe. I need to see it. So I want to invite you to put your hand on your heart. Take a deep breath and ask your inner self, what part of me is ready to be expressed? And listen, journal about it, meditate. I challenge you for 7 days, 7 days until we meet next week. Every day, put your hand on your heart, take a deep breath. What part of me is ready to be expressed? And then put that into action, one bit at a time. You don't need permission to do this, but if you need to give yourself permission, it's okay but start expressing the beautiful, unique energy of you. The world is missing out on your beauty, on your essence. More importantly, you are. The one that has been waiting for you to come out and play is your own unique self. They want to come out and live the life that they love and love the life that they live your way, your unique, loving stride that is happy and at ease because their heart is filled with love and adventure. Yes? I will see you next Tuesday at 10:30. I really suggest that maybe if you know of someone who's been kind of hiding in the shadows or have just gone through something, share this with them. Together we can heal one person at a time. First, we have to heal ourselves. No, I don't want to say first we have to heal ourselves because then you're going to go, I'm not healed. I can't do. Mm-mm. We need to recognize our uniqueness little by little and share that because our life is worth loving and our love is worth living. Peace out, guys. We'll see my tribe next week, same bat channel. Tuesday Talks at 10:30, where we continue our discussion for June with light and joy and the inner child and self-expression and whoo, enjoy June. Get outside and express what needs to be expressed. All right, guys, I will see you next week. I love you. Have a magical day, and I'll catch you next week. Bye-bye.